and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Outdoors People with me, C.W. Getz, and her, Maya Marzaki. Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. Sorry, a little late, kids. We had a little technical issue. Yeah, I tell you. Coming back from vacation, how are you feeling about this? I mean, it's like everything is new and different, and I forget. and
Yes.
Juan, our producer's like, CW, where's the episode description? You're like, a week later. I'm sorry, really. Oh, yeah.
Feels like a new job, right? The first day in your new job.
If that were the case, I'd be fired. I would be fired on my first day.
I'm glad you were the boss.
Oh my God, yeah, me too. Me too. How are you doing down there? How's your weather? I want to know that because we got some spectacular stuff. I'll tell you about in a second.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's summer here, pretty much like ours. So it is a really beautiful sunny day with 23 degrees Celsius, and it means 72 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's perfect. I mean, it's absolutely perfect,
right?
That's about the way I left it when I was in, because I was in Brazil for most of the month of January, and I didn't tell people because I didn't want to come back and have like my furniture, like stolen. Okay, advertise. He's gone. It's okay. Come on in, man.
The house is free.
Yeah, he lives alone, so it's cool. Nobody there. No dog. I'm good, right? But I really enjoyed my time in Brazil. And I have to mention this. So there are two young ladies. When I was in the airport in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, I have a hard time finding the teeny tiny English on the signs, And it is about that big, by the way. I'm not making that up. And I happen to be doing okay, well, actually, no, that's not true. I was in the wrong line to begin with, and people go, and I said, "Hey, man, is this the line for this?" Of course, and they're not speaking English, man, but they're doing their phones like in the Google, and I'm doing my Google.
How cool.
But at some point, they sent me around the corner. I ran into these two young ladies, and they were pushing wheelchairs. And I asked them, I said, "Hey, do you guys, doing my phone?" And they go, "Oh, we speak a little." The one speaks a little English, the other one speaks even a little less. But those ladies helped me. I'm talking, we must have walked for 12, 15 minutes to get to the next part. Yeah. And I totally would not have done that on my own. I totally would have been lost. I would have been on the plane to like Hong Kong or something.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you.
You and airports are unreal.
I hate it.
You always get lost. I am so happy that you always find angels who help you out.
I just like playing follow the leader. I don't like being in charge of myself. I can't be trusted. But these two young ladies, they had to take their people in the wheelchairs up to the plane or up to the gate, and they said, "We'll be right back." They didn't come back for like 20 minutes. And I was kind of freaking. I go, I'm going to be late for my plane. I'm freaking out.
Oh my gosh.
And they did tell me, they go, "Well, down there is where you need to check in." And I go, where? So I just went that way. And lo and behold, they showed up after about 10 more minutes, and it was running nip and tuck to missing my plane. I got to the gate. These ladies escorted me the whole way to my gate and everything. I was there 5 minutes before we started boarding. Very close.
Whoa, just
and
time.
I told you I'm going to mention your names on the radio, and it was these two young ladies, wonderful, and thank you again so much, Ketlin Batista and Livia Cap. I hope I said that cap right. But I'm telling you. Next time you're in Sao Paulo, just swing on by the airport, GRU, and thank those ladies in person for all of us.
Okay. I'm sure I'm going to do that because the airport is so small, right? It's so easy to find people in there.
Monster. It's a monster.
Yeah, it's crazy big.
Oh my God.
But
We've been
well,
having,
I'm glad you are fine. But I'm sure you wanted to miss your flight and stay more in Brazil. You did
well,
that on purpose, I'm sure. You
that was on the way
tried
there.
to.
That was on the way there. That was just the
Oh,
beginning of the trip. Yeah. Way back, I had
oh
no
no.
problem. I had no problem on the way back. Well, I won't say that either. I had a little problem in Sao Paulo again. Or maybe it was Miami. I don't remember. It was all a big blur on the way back.
Oh my
But I met some
gosh.
wonderful people. Brazil, we did some hiking through the rainforest, and it was just a marvelous time. I really, really enjoyed everything. So, and I didn't get to see
Yeah.
you. We were hoping to do that.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, but
Unfortunately, yeah, I'm very sad and I'm very sorry. I really wanted to see you, but
yeah.
didn't work out for me. Brazil is a little bit big, right?
It's a little big, an oxymoron, very much a little big. Yeah, it's a little bit big. It's huge.
But well, I'm
Amazing.
glad you had a good time, and I'm sure you were in a good company, and you had a good time. And it is impossible do not have a good time in Brazil, because here
Yeah.
it is just an amazing place. It is
Oh my
like
gosh.
paradise. I
Paradise
love
with
my
perfect
country.
food. The food was
Oh yeah,
amazing. The people were
yes.
amazing. I don't think I met one jerky person when I was down there. And you can talk to anybody.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, because we didn't match, right?
Yeah. But I mean, anybody. I mean, you could talk to anybody. Anybody will talk to you. They're
Yeah,
not snobby like up here in the United States. And I do say that
yeah, that's true.
it is a difference. There is a difference, kids.
Yeah.
62 degrees Fahrenheit here in north central Illinois, 17 degrees Celsius for the rest of the free world. And I'm telling you, it's
That's
a
good.
weird, it's a weird weather year. Weird weather year.
Yeah, that's very warm for winter, right? In
Janelle sent me a
Illinois.
picture. Janelle sent a picture. She's in bare feet yesterday. Just a
And
little
she's up in Canada, so that's
Yeah,
very weird.
it's
Weird
crazy.
times, people.
I think the world is coming to an end. I really do believe that.
Yeah,
So,
true, unfortunately.
well, 29-year-old Belgium-born medical product manager, certified ski instructor, kite surfer, and snowkiter Carmen Verdeyen, aka Carmencia, is, I hope I did that right, is also a coordinator for the snowkite camps in Chile. She also serves as an organizer for competitions with South Kite Sessions and aspiring Olympic athletes living in Chile. As part of Team Chile, Carmen won back-to-back titles as National Female Big Air Champion in 2022 and 2023. In 2023, she placed in the top 5 for Formula Kite at the Pan American Games, along with winning the National Female Championship for Formula Kite. Tonight, Carmen Verdeyen takes us inside the amazing world of snowkiting. And with that, welcome to the show, Carmen. How you doing?
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Super glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And you're only like 3 hours ahead of us, so it's not like 1 o'clock in the morning there. That's good.
No. It's 8:17 p.m. So I'm in the south of Chile right now, and the days are super long. So it gets dark at like 9:30, 10. So we still have a light today, but
Nice.
it is rainy here, even though it's summer. It's currently raining. So we're kind of good with the snow kiting theme. It feels kind of like it's winter right now.
Yeah. That's kind of what Brazil was like. It rains every day in
Yeah.
this time of the year. Yeah. So,
But here, because it is too warm, right? So rains every day. But Chile is much like colder than here. So it's
Chillier?
weird.
Yeah, no, for sure. In the central region right now, it's like 35 degrees. It's super warm. But in the south, we've had a lot of like warm days, but every, I don't know, 15 days or so, it rains a little bit.
Interesting.
Just so that there's a little bit of water, so it's not too hot.
Yeah.
Well,
Things need to grow. Things need to grow.
Yes, exactly. They do.
And talking about that, I'm wondering what weather, what season is better to kite surf in Chile? Because it is always cold, right?
So in summer, we do a lot of kite surfing on the water. So in the ocean, on lakes, etc. We generally use a wetsuit, obviously, because the water is quite cold, as you mentioned. So with a wetsuit, you basically can kite probably from September till April. And then the rest of the season, so when it's winter, we actually snow kite, which is what we're here to talk about today. So probably from June, depending on the season, obviously there's seasons where it snows earlier and some seasons later, but approximately mid-June till end of September, sometimes even later, we snow kite in Chile.
Very cool.
And how and when did you first start with snow kiting? Because I have never heard about before you. That's so exciting.
Yeah, so actually for me, I started kite surfing a long time ago, like 12 years ago. And I skied also probably even more, like 15, 16 years. And I'd never really combined the two until about 3 years ago, when I met a group of like friends that I have in common with Giorgio, who is the founder of Snowkite Chile, invited us to a snowkite camp. And so for me, it sounded amazing. I was like combining two of my favorite sports, kite surfing and skiing. Sounds fabulous. So I went to this camp, which was in the south of Chile. And that was the first time that I practiced snow kiting. And also where I met my current boyfriend, Giorgio, who is the founder of Snowkite Chile. And so basically that was the first camp that he'd organized. And then from there, we kind of started the project together and started creating more and more camps. And every year we're doing about 4 to 5 every winter now. And so we take people to different places in the south of Chile to experience a little bit snow kiting.
Yeah. You know, I have to tell you, snow kiting sounds, I mean, when I'm thinking about 2 skis, which by the way, I went skiing one time and I'll never do that again. Didn't have a great experience, but I will tell you something. I'm looking at the skis and I'm thinking, I watched, kite surfing is cool. If you wipe out in the water is pretty reasonably soft, depending on how you hit it, of course. But if you've got skis and you can pop off that board, that kite, the board you use for kite surfing pretty easily. But you got skis, and if you get twisted up and tangled, you land wrong. I imagine it's pretty easy to get hurt. Am I right about that?
I mean, obviously you have to be careful, but I guess it's kind of like skiing where you can also twist a leg, and it obviously has inherent dangers. But in general, I would say it's not. If you're careful and follow all of the like procedures, the safety procedures, it's pretty safe. We generally do it on more powder snow, so like softer when it's recently snowed. That's like the ideal condition. Or in spring when you have like the watery snow and it's already like quite warm outside. That's also like really good conditions. Obviously, sometimes you have ice. When it's icy, obviously we try and be like extra careful and maybe not jump as much because you know that the landing is going to be
not going to be
hard.
Well, but the powdery stuff sounds fine. That sounds great. Even the slushy stuff. But man, I'm thinking that hard stuff, and because that's most of what I see people skiing on is the really hard stuff. I mean, I know they ski on it too, but
well, I guess that's one of the things as well. So we do snow kiting like outside of ski resorts, so not really on like flattened terrain. So generally, it's like off-piste places where there's no ski resort or anything. So it's not like groomed slopes.
Virgin snow. I love it.
Oh my gosh, so cool.
Say, how long has snow kiting been around? I mean, that's kind of something new, pretty new.
Well, actually, surprisingly not. So actually, I went and researched a little bit because I didn't actually know what the origins were. And so surprisingly, it's actually been around for longer than kitesurfing. So people started doing snow kiting on snow before they did it on the water. Wow. So there's like records of people in like Germany, Austria, Switzerland in like the 1960s, fashioning kind of like their own type of kite, and then like finding wind and trying to use like these homemade kites to travel for like farther distances. Right. Kind of because one of the things that we also do a lot is like you use ski touring to kind of go where there's more wind, and then the kite is like a complement. So if it's windy, you can go a lot farther than you would if you were just ski touring, because obviously the wind, it makes you travel a lot faster. Sure. So basically people in like the 1960s were already using like homemade kites to kind of be able to travel farther distances in a shorter period of time. Wow. I'd say, however, like the more modern version, it's kind of been like an evolution slowly over time. Obviously, like more gear has come out and the kite companies have like focused a little bit more on this area. And now you have foil kites, which are like specifically made for snow kiting. So it's definitely something that in recent years has kind of picked up more attention from like the general public and from kitesurf manufacturing companies. So nowadays you have like a kite that is specifically made for snow kiting, which yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. I would never imagine that. And how are those differences between the kite from the snow kite and the kite surf?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So basically, when you have the kite that's for the water, you inflate it. So it's like this inflatable tube that you pump up with a pump, and it stays inflated. With the snow kites, they're foil kites. So it's kind of more like para in Spanish. Yeah, like a paragliding sail, exactly. I was like just thinking of the word in English. So it's like a paragliding sail, but smaller. So it's like the size that we use would be 8 meters squared or 11 meters squared. Those are like the two most common sizes. And so basically it's a foil kite. So it's just like one layer of material. Since obviously you're not in the water, if it falls, it doesn't matter if it's only one layer, because in the water, if it would get wet, you wouldn't be able to lift it anymore. But since you're on the snow, you don't have that problem. Yeah. So it's only like one layer of material. And one of the differences is that these kites that are made more for like exploring on the mountain, they have a fifth line. So normal kites, they have 4 lines, for like kite lines that are connected to the bar. Yeah. This one has a 5th one. Why? So the reason is that when you reach, because these kites, you can use them to go uphill. So basically what you do is you always try and find the wind that is going uphill. So this creates an effect where the gravity is going down, the wind is going up. And so the kite literally is like a personal lift. And it just takes you straight up to the mountain.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. So basically you have like your personal ski lift to go wherever you want. But what happens obviously is at the top of the mountain, the wind is a lot stronger. So for safety reasons, when you arrive at the top, what you can do with these snow kites is you can eject them, is what it's called. So you release them and they just collapse. They go like an accordion. They go like this and they fall onto the snow and they stop pulling you. So it's basically like an extra safety measure. So if you reach the top of the mountain, you can just eject the kite, it closes, falls, and then you just don't even have to ask help from anyone. You can just roll it up yourself, put it in your backpack. It weighs like 2 kilos, so it's very light. The idea is that you can just like put it in your backpack, go ski touring. If there's wind, pull it out. So that's kind of the idea. And so basically, yeah, it's basically has this really important safety measure that you can lift it yourself, collapse it yourself, put it away whenever you need to ski down, which is something that the normal kites don't do, because since they're inflated, it's always going to keep its shape and it's going to keep pulling you if you reach the top of the mountain. So it's basically like designed kind of for safety reasons and practicality reasons, designed for the mountain. Another difference is, since you don't have to inflate it, you don't have to take your pump with you. So for anyone who kite surfs, you know that you need to inflate your kite with a pump, and the pump is pretty big and it also weighs a lot.
I see
so
those
when
with
you're,
kites. Yeah, they're huge.
yeah, if you're going ski touring, you know, you don't want to have a pump in your backpack and a big kite, plus all your, you know, gear for extra layers and whatever else you're bringing with you. So you want to try and be as light as possible.
You know, let me ask you this. I mean, all things considered, which one is more challenging, snow kiting or kite surfing? I mean, I know that probably one is maybe not as dangerous as the other. Maybe they're both the same. But which one is more difficult?
I'd say for people who know how to ski or snowboard, snow kiting is easier to learn, because you already kind of know everything from the waist down. And the difference is you're standing on a solid ground. So you're standing on snow, or you're already standing up. Well, in the water, you're obviously like in the water and you have to learn how to stand up with the kite. So that's one thing that in the snow you don't need to do, which makes it easier. Plus, another difference is that in the water, a lot of times, like if you lose your board, you need to learn how to buddy drag and get back your board. In snow kiting, obviously, that's not a problem because you're completely like strapped into your snowboard or ski. So you don't need to learn how to like recover your board, which is one of the more annoying things to learn when you're learning how to kite surf. But that being said, I always like to make this comparison. Like, kite surfing is more 2D. So it's like you're going in a straight line up and down the wind. Snow kiting is more 3D because you have the extra dimension where you're going up a hill and down a hill. And so it's kind of like you have this extra dimension to play with.
That's crazy. I mean, I just think that would be so weird. And you get to the top. I know me. I can see me at the top of the hill. I'm going to forget that. What is that one? The ejector thing that you call it?
Yeah, the eject. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we were skydiving. You pull down, it'd be flare. Yeah. I could see me forgetting to do that, and then I'm like flying off into the wild blue yonders. Who knows where I'm gonna? I just can see that.
Actually, yes, that's kind of true, because I saw the video in the beginning of the show and I was like, oh my gosh, if it's just like fly away, it's impossible. But at the same time, I was like, it must feel so good, feeling of freedom, like unreal, because being in the mountain itself, it is amazing. But you are there pretty much like flying, but in the snow at the same time. I don't know, seems like so amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how it actually works. Like how you do that, how it works, you know, like how you go there and how you choose places. I don't know how it works like in general.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously very important to like read all the weather conditions, right? So for this type of sport, as I mentioned, there's like so many factors. So you have to read the snow report, the wind report, and then also kind of look at the direction of the wind, which is also important. So we generally use like snow forecast to see what the weather is going to be like. Then we use windy to look what the wind is going to be like. And then we use either Google Maps or FAT Maps to see what the direction of the wind is going to be. So based on all of these factors, you kind of decide what the best spot is going to be for your expedition. So generally, you're always looking for wind that is ascending, so going up the mountain. That's what you're looking for. And so basically, for example, with FAT Map, it's like a 3D map. So it's really good because you can see like what direction the wind is going to go in, and based on that, kind of make a decision of where you're going to go that day. Which is obviously something that we also like decide when we do snow kite camps, and then we share this knowledge with everyone who's at the camp, and we kind of say like, okay, like this is what the weather forecast says. This is what the wind forecast says. So basically, like looking at these things, we try and make like help people learn how to read the report and later be able to make those decisions by themselves when they go on expeditions, for example, with friends or when we're not around. So that's part of what we do in the snow kite camps as well. Basically, to start, we generally find like an area which is flatter, so not so mountainous, kind of for people who are beginning, right? So the idea is that you, in the beginning, can find kind of a flatter area so that you get used to the kite, understand how it works, and kind of get a good feeling for what the sport is like. And then slowly, as people kind of get more confidence and they start improving in their abilities, we start looking for like small hills to practice on. And then obviously with time, as you get better and better, you can kind of like go and start exploring and going more into the mountains and finding new spots, and etc. So one of the things as well, as you mentioned, is like this flying. So basically like in the water, when you jump, I don't know, you jump 2-3 meters and it's kind of like you progress, like the better you get, the higher you jump. But in the snow, it's not necessarily like that, because like since you're on a mountain, if you jump here, you kind of fly backwards. So you kind of, the longer you're in the air, the higher you're getting because you're going farther away from the mountain.
Yeah.
So that's also one of the reasons why generally like when you're starting, you stay on flatter terrain. And then as you get better and better, you start like going further up mountains and exploring a bit more and learning like how to control everything properly. So that's definitely a safety precaution.
I can see me screwing that up. What do you think, Maya? You can see me out there flying, like going, what the hell? Hey, you know, I was good. There's two things I want to know. First of all, is like what places around the world is snow kiting most popular? But I also want to know, there's no skis or there's no poles involved in this.
No. So yeah, good question. So when we're ski touring, generally we have poles because it's a lot easier to ski tour with poles. But we generally use like these retractable poles, ski poles. So you then just like collapse them and you put them in your backpack when you lift up your kite. Yeah. And in terms of locations, really you can do snow kiting pretty much anywhere where there's snow. So, for example, in countries like Norway and kind of North Europe, where it's not that mountainous, but there is a lot of snow, it's quite popular. But for example, in the US, I know there's quite a few places. In France, there's a place that's quite popular as well. And here in Chile, I think more and more people are starting to get into the sport. And the good thing here is we have a lot of volcanoes in the south. And so these volcanoes generally, like, they're quite open. So there's not that many other mountains around. So that means that there's generally quite a lot of wind. So it's really, here in Chile, we're starting to explore more and more. And it's also great sport since obviously in most of these places, there's no ski resorts. So it kind of permits you to go to these insanely beautiful locations and explore in a different way. So it's definitely growing in South America as well.
Oh, that's very cool. So you're going to have it down there in Brazil, Maya. I think that's pretty cool. Like what, Patagonia, maybe? I don't know. Hey, that's cool because you don't have a way up the mountain. There's no ski lift. It's not a ski resort. So you have to these kites pull you up the mountain. That's really cool.
How amazing!
I know it'd take you a long time to get up there.
Right?
You're tired to ski by the time you got there. Yeah, I love it.
That's amazing, and I love it because usually I walk to the top of the mountain or I climb, but I'm really interested in go up with the kite. Sounds really nice, actually.
Yeah, we always we kind of go past the people ski touring and they're always looking at us like, what? Like they're going so quickly. That's so unfair. So yeah, it's definitely a massive plus if you enjoy like ski touring and going up mountains. It's definitely a really useful tool.
There you go, Maya. Got to do sports right.
Yeah, I'm booking. I am coming.
Yes, we'd be happy to have you.
And are there any annual events for snow kiting?
So yeah, there's actually one really famous race, which is in Norway. It's called Rangrok. It's actually been around for quite a while, so it's probably like the most famous snow kiting race that there is. Here in Chile, we have an annual Snow Kite Fest as well, which is kind of like it's more a festival, so it's kind of there's competitions and people are learning how to snow kite, and it's on a flat plane. So we have that event every year as well, and I think they're starting to organize kind of tournaments that are more like federated, so it's growing. I think last year was the first year that they did these kind of more, the International Kiteboarding Association organized some more like federated events in different locations. I think it was Italy and France. So it's definitely growing in terms of events. I think Rangrok is still the most prestigious. It's been around for quite a while. So that's definitely like in the snow kiting community is like the biggest, coolest, most prestigious event.
Yeah, right.
I've never been, but I would love to go. I think it's in March, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, if you get the chance to go to Norway, to Rangrok, definitely go. It's really cool. There's always like lots of kites and it's really colorful, and yeah, so I've seen videos, but I've never been myself.
Oh, very cool. Well, we're winding down on time here because we got started a little late, but we're going to take a look at some photos. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you this. People that want to go snow kite, I mean, it looks amazing. It really does. Even though I'm not a skier, it just looks fun. I mean, you can see yourself flying through the air. But what should people know? I mean, or what should they do before going snow kiting? I mean, you don't just go somewhere and rent a snow kite and figure it out. I'm sure you're going to want some training, I'm sure. And
yeah, I think for sure. I think definitely like finding there's more and more instructors that are giving lessons in snow kiting. Always welcome here in Chile. We do snow kite camps where we basically teach people all from 0 to 100. So we definitely do that as well. Big recommendation though is if you want to try snow kiting, the best thing is to at least have like a basic level of skiing or snowboarding first, just because like you're adding an extra element. So if you don't know how to ski or snowboard, it could be pretty tough. So I'd start with skiing or snowboarding first. In terms of if you have your own kite from the water, you can definitely try it in the snow as well, but probably best on a flat terrain, not going up mountains right away or anything like that, but definitely a good like starting point to get a feel if you like the sport or not. And you can definitely always look for a school nearby where you live, where there's snow, or for example, I know that in certain places where they practice a lot of snow kiting, there's always like an organization that does camps or trainings, clinics, and that kind of stuff. So that would definitely be my recommendation.
Very good. I'm going to say hi to some people here before we do our photos. Mustang 774, Mina Erickson, Nicole Barr, and is it I am Canuto? Canuto, how do you say that? Canuto.
Canuto. Canuto.
And she said in rock climbing we have grade levels that define the difficulty of the route. Do you have something like that in snow kiting?
Good question. I love it.
Yeah. So not officially, there's not like or like for example in skiing you also have like black piste, red piste. Since you're kind of like on the free mountain open range, there's not like a specific like grading level or anything like that. Obviously, higher mountains, more inclination, more difficult. That's definitely like one way that you can kind of measure difficulty. Also, it depends a lot on the weather conditions. So for example, the wind direction or the wind strength can also be a big factor in how difficult the terrain is, which is obviously something that changes day to day. So it's kind of like you have a mountain that maybe one day in certain wind direction is a lot easier than in another day with a different wind direction. So not any official type of measuring system, but obviously there's like factors that you consider to see what's more difficult and what's easier.
So it is pretty much about surviving.
No, it's about having fun, exploring.
Lucia Mutazzoni, when is the Snowkite Fest in Chile? Did you mention that?
Yes, there is one in Chile. It's generally in August. So obviously it depends kind of year to year and weather conditions, but it's almost always like the second or third weekend in August.
Very good.
Well, that's good to know.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see those. Let's take a look at those photos before we have to say good evening. Get some of those here. There we go. Very cool.
Oh my gosh. I want to do that so bad. Look at that.
Yeah. So this is the last snowkite camp that we did in last season. And this is in Volcán Yaima. So it's in the south of Chile. It's a beautiful volcano. And so this is at the top of kind of another mountain a bit earlier before the volcano with our group. So we had a good group of people who came to the snowkite camp.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
So this picture, basically, I chose it because the person who is on the snowkite is going uphill. So that's kind of what I wanted to show here is that you really can use the kite to go up like steep slopes, and it really, really pulls you. So that was one example of like a terrain where we would go, and then the more like beginner people would stay on the flatter bit, and as they get better and better, kind of like start exploring further up the hill.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So this is my boyfriend Giorgio, who's coaching me. This is in actually one of the snowkite fests. So he taught me how to snowkite and is also very, very good at the sport, and always is helping everyone, including myself, in getting better and improving.
Oh my gosh.
That's what we put in this promo. It's such a cool photo. You know, I mean,
that's a rock star.
It is a rock star.
So this is basically wanted to show that there's also another element in snowkiting, which is more jumping. So it's, I think, more similar to what kite surfing in the water is like. So you have freestyle competitions, for example, which are generally on flat terrain, and it's about jumping and doing tricks and all that stuff. So that's definitely something that is also part of snowkiting. So it's like a different freestyle side of snowkiting. So here we have another one of our students learning how to snowkite. So for example, this hill, the one in the back, is also one that it's a place where we go very often to snowkite. And so the hill in the back is one of the ones that we do all the time. So you can go all the way up, and then you can ski down with the kite. So you can, for example, like leave it quite loose and ski down with the kite, or you can eject it, put it in your backpack and ski down normally. Or what some people do, personally, I'm not that adventurous, but there are people who jump from the top all the way down, which is, yeah, it's kind of like spit flying, but yeah, obviously the kite's smaller. But yeah, that's for the not faint of heart. Okay. So here we're ski touring to basically a place. So generally, when you start the expedition, you're in a place lower, and there's, for example, a lot of trees, or for example, the wind doesn't really quite reach where you are. So here is, for example, with our group, we're going ski touring to like a section of the mountain where there's more wind and more open space. And as you can see, obviously, there's like some people who are on ski touring. Other people are using rackets with a snowboard on their back. And then you can also see that everyone has like, or you can't see because it's in their backpack. But so the snowkite is really small, and so it just fits in everyone's backpack. So that's kind of what we're showing there.
That's pretty cool. Oh my gosh, look at
that's
the
a great
picture.
picture.
So there's Giorgio. This is also during one of the Snowkite Fests, in one of the freestyle competitions. So also you can do it skiing. I'm a skier. I know how to snowboard, but I love skiing. Skiing is like for 100% sure, feel more comfortable. So I generally snow kite skiing, but you can also do it with a snowboard. So just basically whatever your preference is, both are possible.
That's very cool.
Here's one of our students, like one of the first lessons they would have snow kiting. So always, we also use climbing harnesses. So you can see in the picture as well, we're using like a very lightweight climbing harness, which is something that people who are into the mountaineering world kind of have with them anyway. So that's kind of another benefit, is that you're using gear that you would use in the mountain in other sports and occasions as well. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh.
So this is Corralco in Chile. It's a ski resort, which they actually have like a designated snow kiting area. So, for example, there are places, ski resorts in Argentina. There's another one as well that have like designated snow kiting spaces. So, for example, here right next to the ski resort, they have like this big plain where it's kind of common to find people snow kiting, and it's like a place where they encourage people to try the sport. So this is me skiing down the mountain with the kite. So as I mentioned, you can also leave the kite in the air when you're skiing down, and you kind of just like leave it a little bit looser so it doesn't pull you, and you can kind of ski down without pulls, obviously. And then when you reach the bottom, you just immediately have your personal lift to go back up.
That looks like a picture that we'd see on Snowkite magazine.
Right?
I'm just saying.
Right? Like,
cool.
yeah. That's very cool. Thanks for sharing those pictures. It's so nice, so cool. I'm dying to try that. I'm not kidding.
All right. It's feeling and faith. Haha. And I asked Juan to put that up. I think that's a very, it's feeling and faith. Pretty true.
I'd say so, yeah.
I love it. And those are awesome pictures, by the way. And thank you so much for sending those to us. And great job explaining them too. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
happy to share.
And great work on doing those pictures, because you are on the pictures. So.
Yeah.
So, Carmen, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so we have an Instagram page which is specifically for snow kiting. So it's called Snowkite Chile, without any dots or anything, just one word. So basically there we have lots of like pictures, videos. If you're interested in kind of understanding a little bit more about the sport, definitely there you can find lots of material. Also, if you're interested in coming to one of the snowkite camps, we also post all our dates and things there as well. So definitely, if you're coming to Chile in winter, definitely recommend. Super experience, great way to kind of immerse yourself in the nature of the south of Chile. And obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to message us as well, and we're happy to kind of help you out and give recommendations, etc. So yeah, that's probably the best place to find more snow kite material.
Like a wonderful trip to do that. I mean, to go out there and do that and have you teach. I mean, really, and they can have you teach, right? So
yeah, for sure, exactly. We organize lots of different camps and kind of in different locations as well. So it's not like we only go to one different spot. So we kind of throughout the winter have like 5 different locations that we like to go to. So we'll have one, for example, in Yaima volcano. Then we'll go to, for example, Mochochoshuenco, which are 2 volcanoes next to each other, and then kind of like go to different places so people can also experience like different places which maybe they wouldn't go to normally.
Yeah. That's the most beautiful part for outdoors people, because you can go away from all those busy places and really know Chile, how it is, and the volcanoes, and stay with you guys. And by the way, do you guys rent the kite?
Yeah, so good question. We do. We in the Snowkite camps we provide the kites, so it's part of the package. So we always have like quite a few kites that we lend to everyone who is at the camp. Slowly with time, like we have our regulars who come to all the camps and who have their own gear and who are already like fanatics. But yeah, in the beginning we definitely rent out all the kite gear and stuff. Generally people bring their own kind of touring like split board or skis or whatever. But yeah, I mean obviously we have friends who have like ski rental places and stuff, so we can definitely help you with that part as well.
No, good to know. Great question, Maya.
Yeah.
Well, Carmen, we want to thank you for being our guest here tonight. It was a pleasure having you on the show. It really was.
Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking to you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for your time and for being here. And I'm looking forward to try that out. I hope you can see each other.
We'll be waiting for you, Maya, in winter.
Well, we also want to thank all of you for tuning in to Outdoors People, and we will see you next week.
Ciao.